All right, we are live. Hi, everybody. I'm Luisa. I'm part of the LiveArt team. Very excited to talk to you today about all of the exciting things that have been happening on LiveArt and the most recent updates we've done to the protocol. Andre, could you do a quick intro, and Boris as well, just if we have any new people joining us today?
Sure. Andre, dealing with the product here, will show us some product updates and pass it to Boris.
Hey guys, I'm the co-founder of LiveArt. Really happy to be here, especially today for this update, because we have a lot of exciting things that we have announced and we'll be announcing today.
Yes. So would love to start with a very exciting update on the art market side of things. So we've proven over the past couple of weeks that art RWAs beat markets. And what we mean by that is that, over the past week, art RWAs have been outperforming everything. The art market itself had a $2.2 billion sales week last week. We've had multiple records with artists like Frida Kahlo selling over $54 million, the most ever for a female artist at auction. The Klimt portrait selling for $200+ million, making it the second most expensive artwork ever sold at auction, which I think it's incredibly remarkable, given that the most expensive work at auction was the Salvator Mundi, which was by Leonardo da Vinci. So this work selling for over half of that, it's pretty amazing. Now, as crypto and equity stayed choppy, art has continued to climb, and we can really see it well within this chart, especially across different categories. We can see how art assets over past performance from at the S&P 500 over the past, I believe this is 30 years. We closed a $2.2 billion week, one of the strongest since 2022. With major auction houses hitting 94 to 100% sell-through rates. Blue chip art has outperformed Bitcoin, stocks, real estate, and gold on a risk-adjusted basis, while staying far more stable through volatility, which is showcasing that art is a pretty stable asset, but also a pretty good return when you're acquiring the right artists and the right categories. Now, this momentum has for long lived in auction houses, and through LiveArt and our protocol, we are taking this momentum out of auction houses and bringing it on chain for everybody else to be able to participate through fractional ownership. And we've got around 8 pretty exciting offerings happening right now. Some of them have launched, some of them are coming soon, but we want to zero in Takashi Murakami because it's a very good example of this momentum that auction houses experience, every, I would say, 6 months with their major sales that hit in November and May. But through LiveArt, the whole idea is that we'll have this amazing artist with proven markets, with fractional tokenized ownership that anybody can come in at any time, and we can have that auction house exciting art market momentum running 24/7. So we'll zero in quickly on Takashi Murakami. I'll walk through the sort of asset, give an overview, and then Boris, I'd love for you to talk us through all of the exciting activity on the trading side, but also the buyout. Now, with Murakami, he has a $223 million artist market cap, and we are offering this set of 6 prints, which features his flower emblem. Now, this flower motif is one of his most recognized and widely adopted IP, and it's won collaborations for him across, top brands like Louis Vuitton, Perrier, Dom Perignon. All of the kind of big brands have adopted it, so it's a really important kind of symbol, not only in current popular culture, but also within the art market itself. Here you can see its auction performance has been pretty good. We see a 160% price appreciation for his editions over the past 5 years. And one of a set of 6 prints of these flower kind of spheres achieved over $40,000 at Sotheby's Hong Kong, far exceeding the estimate for this asset. He's collected by top figures like Drake, Leonardo DiCaprio, and more. And you know, it's a beautiful piece. It is currently trading in the secondary market, and by one of the most iconic artists of contemporary art today. You can observe here as well his print auction record has hit over $1 million as the highest print price paid for his works. And he consistently works with some of the top brands and has like amazing kind of sales performance overall. And with that, Boris, I'd love to turn it over on to you to kind of talk us through a little bit more on all of the activity happening around this asset and why it's so important.
Sure, thanks, Luisa. I think it's really interesting to look at it against the backdrop of what's happening in the art market. And I'm going to return to that a little bit at the end. But as Luisa said, you know, many of us at crypto are in a little bit of a pain for the last few months. The equity market is going sideways. The art market is booming. It's not an accident. It actually happens quite often. The art market is countercyclical. It doesn't follow some of the other markets, some of the other assets. And I think it's a great time to really be in this market. When I entered the art world, it was in 2008. It was in the middle of the financial crisis, and it was exactly the same situation. The art market was performing very well. There was this iconic Damien Hirst auction that happened precisely on the day when Lehman Brothers collapsed. If you guys remember your financial crash history of 2008, and we're kind of seeing the same thing. There are some of the assets that are crashing, some of the assets that are not doing so well, and the art market is booming. So there you go. You know, the history is repeating itself. So we're very excited to be where we are in the middle of the booming art market, while, you know, other things are happening in other corners of the financial landscape. So now specifically to this asset, you know, we launch lots of assets. You guys know, those of you who have followed us for years know what we do. We never know how the assets will perform, right? The price will do what it does. There are lots of market participants that decide that. So if you look at what happened here is we launched it on November, about a week ago. You know, there were some early sellers, as sometimes happens in these things. And then, as you can see, you know, the volume has been pretty high. It's been picking up lately. And it's the asset price is sort of gradually trading to the fair market value of the underlying asset, which is about 10 cents. Now it's a bit higher than that. It's about, 10.5 cents. And then the question is, well, how do we know that that's the fair market value, right? Those of you who are not necessarily super familiar with our methodology, and you know, obviously always advise to do your own research, as is always in crypto and any other market. But you can access many of the research tools right here, right? So this tells you how this asset is actually performing right now in the real world, based on the auctions that are being tracked, right? So there are many auctions of Takashi Murakami that happen every week. Not necessarily this particular asset, but there are many others. If we scroll a little bit higher, yeah, you can see there are lots of data points. If you click on all here in the price history, you can see even more of them, right? So there are lots of data points just for this particular asset that are taken into account in figuring out what its current market value is. And so that's really the methodology. You can do your own research. We provide all the tools. You can also access additional tools elsewhere that are not related to LiveArt, but you can make up your own mind about what that asset is worth in the open market. We give what we call the LiveArt estimate based on all this data, which again, you know, you can decide to follow, discard, enhance with your own research, or do whatever you'd like. So currently, this LiveArt estimate, as you can see here, is about $12,476. So what does that mean? It means that the prediction is that if this asset were to sell at an auction today, so you take this, suppose you own this asset, you take it to Sotheby's or Christie's, this is the price that it will fetch. So so going back to the token, to the previous slide, to the previous page. Right, so it's a little bit higher up. The token price basically reflects it, right? So the token, if you go to the top of this page, yeah, the token price fluctuates, right? But eventually it sort of settles around this price. It may factor in additional utilities of the token that kind of go on top of the price of the underlying asset itself. So it may go a little bit higher, may go a lot higher, we really don't know. But for now, this is where it's at. So we have the trading volume, which is a very important thing because, you know, in the real world, these assets are not particularly liquid. In crypto, they're liquid because they're tokenized and people can invest in small little chunks of them. So that's handy. The price appears to be doing what you would expect it to do. It fluctuates, and then but it fluctuates around the fair market price of the asset. The overall shape of the chart was pretty good. It's green, so those people who invested, you know, a few days ago have been doing pretty well, and that's pretty much what's been happening, right? It's like I'm dissecting it because every time we launch an asset, something will happen, right? The dynamics may not necessarily be like this. Sometimes it may go up at launch and then do other things after. Sometimes it may go down. It's hard to know. But there is this thing called the fair market value of the underlying asset. And so eventually the price will trend to that number. It really cannot not trend to that number. Because why? Because if it deviates too far from it, somebody can buy the underlying asset. Now, the question is how? And that's where we go to what we call the buyout offer. So this is the part of the product that didn't exist last time we talked, and now it does. So something that we introduced in the last few days. So now this is what links the digital representation of the asset to its underlying physical representation. So the actual asset that is sitting in the Swiss vault against which all the tokens are issued. So you can actually go ahead and buy that asset. How do you do it? Well, you have to put in a buyout offer. So at this point, let me pass it on to Andrei. He'll explain how the buyout offers work. Anybody can put in one. You can see that there is a buyout offer that actually exists right now for this asset, right around the fair market value. And that offer may go through. In other words, the asset will be bought and all of the tokens redeemed. Or it may not go through, in which case, Andrei, what's going to happen?
Sure, there is a number of stages. Thanks, Boris, for kicking this off. So there is a number of stages each buyout offer is passing through as a life cycle, and it all starts with the buyout being initiated. So this is what actually we see here. So to initiate the buyout, the person should just define the price that he or she is able to pay or wants to pay for the whole asset. And in order to justify this price, there is a small amount of tokens that's locked to create the buyout offer, which is as small as 5% of the total value you specify for the whole asset. And this is how the buyout offer is created. If there are multiple people who want to create the buyout offers, we process this one by one. So once the first offer is processed, the next one will come next. Until that, they are just waiting in a queue. This queue exists for each asset individually. So once the buyout offer is there, so it goes into the what we call the challenge period. This challenge period lasts for 7 days, and within these 7 days, there is a community who is deciding what to do with this buyout offer. If the assets, RWA asset tokens locked as a part of the deposit are going to be purchased by the community, it means the buyout offer will be rejected. So the fractionalized artwork will stay fractionalized, being there, the token is traded, nothing will happen. But if nobody will purchase the tokens that are locked as a part of the deposit, when the buyout offer is created, you put this deposit, as I mentioned, around 5% of the asset value. If these tokens are not purchased and 7 days have passed, so the buyout offer naturally proceeds into the next stage, which we call the payment and transfer. This is the stage which lasts also for 7 days. And within the 7 days, the initiator of the buyout, the person who actually created this buyout offer, has the opportunity to fund and to put into the contract the rest of the funds to cover the whole price, the whole price of the asset. Meaning this 95%, if we say the original deposit was only 5. So within the 7 days, the opportunity to finish this operation and to actually, if it all goes well, so then the asset belongs to the new owner, and the community will be able to redeem their tokens at a fixed price. The price is going to be calculated based on this buyout overall price that was originally coming from the offer. And this is the natural progression towards the fourth stage, which will last for 30 days. And if the buyout is successful, each owner of the asset tokens have an opportunity to redeem their tokens for a fixed rate, rate in stable coins. So that's where actually coming into the contract from the person who initiated and paid for this buyout. So it all ends up with the natural end of the life cycle for this specific asset, and the asset becomes now owned by the new owner, and the community will get their profits by converting their tokens into the stables.
So one thing that I want to just clarify is that this is decentralized protocol. This is part of the overall LiveArt protocol. It is designed for the community to decide when's the right time to buy out the asset, when it's not the right time to buy out the asset. Anybody can put in the buyout offer at any price, locking any assets that you'd like. The minimum is 5% of the buyout offer, but other than that, there aren't that many other restrictions. And then if the community basically agrees that that's a good price, it's a good buyout offer, then by not purchasing the locked tokens, by not claiming or repurchasing the locked tokens at the price of the buyout, then the buyout goes through. And the community essentially has sold this token in a decentralized way, this asset in a decentralized way to the person who put in the buyout. And if the community decide otherwise, you can buy out the locked tokens, and then the asset continues to trade. So that's sort of the beauty of it. It's it's a significant innovation. There's really nothing else like it out there. The overall concept of optimistic buyout has been implemented before by others. I'm not aware of anything currently active, but in the past it has existed. So it's been tried and true and tested, but it's a particularly good fit for this specific use case. When we have an asset, the asset has offline price that fluctuates with the offline market, right, with the art market. And we are representing it by a token that fluctuates as just digital assets, that asset that has its own supply and demand curve. But then the two have to somehow connect. That connection is the buyout offer, when you can buy out the physical asset and redeem the digital tokens against it. So it's pretty cool stuff, right? It also ensures that the price of the token, will fluctuate around the fair market value of the right here, the fair market value of the asset. Because if it gets too low, right, then of course somebody will come in and put in a buyout. Because why wouldn't you want to own a piece of an artwork for a fraction of its price? So it's like, can the token go to much lower than the fair market value of the underlying asset? Not really, right? Because the buyout mechanism exists, and there will always be somebody who will take advantage of the low price of the token to get a good price on the underlying physical asset. So if any of this is unclear, we're going to keep publishing the information on how the buyout works on all of our docs on the website and social media channels. Just so that it has to be crystal clear how it works, why the token is priced the way it is, what is the relationship between the token price and the price of the underlying asset and its fluctuations in the open market, right? So all of those things are interrelated, but overall, it's a great way to get exposure to the art market that is performing very well without leaving the crypto universe.
And I also want to add, just very quickly, just to summarize on the value that this protocol is bringing, the LiveArt protocol, utilizing its database, which is one of the largest databases for art in the world that is updated in real time with AI insights as well, identifies the best collecting opportunities across the entire art market and all of the different artists that exists. Once that artwork is identified, it is offered to the community. Here you can see the asset offering was $12,000, which is pretty much in tune with the market and is a price that people would normally only be able to unlock if they were insiders within the art market. Retail prices will go much higher than this, up to could be anywhere from 20 to 30% higher. After that, this asset is completely community owned, and it allows anyone with crypto to acquire fractions of it. Once that is done, we are essentially enabling community to even conduct almost like a mini auction with this buyout. So if an opportunity is identified at any time, anyone can come in, place in a buyout, and the community decides, do we want to accept this offer? Do we not? If not, then the artwork remains in the protocol. If the community decides to accept it, then that asset is sent to whoever performed that buyout, and everyone's fractions get redeemed. So we're starting with Murakami, and we're moving on to a whole pipeline of assets, which I'm very excited about, and also to see how this translates into higher volumes of pieces as well. And so I would say our next asset, with all of that excitement and the momentum we've saw with Murakami, is Keith Haring. Yep, Boris, were you going to say something?
No, I'm just can't contain my excitement.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making noises.
It's super exciting. We have this, it's called Pop Shop, Radium Baby from Keith Haring, and it's one of his most popular and best performing prints, launching this week on LiveArt. Andre will share a little bit more in terms of the date for this, but it's coming up pretty soon. Now, I just want to do a quick walkthrough. We will announce rewards tomorrow for this asset, but if you wanted to take a quick look today, you can. If you go to defi.liveart.io, you can see the artist market cap, the price appreciation for this sort of print edition. Down below, we show you a chart for similar works, and also the most recent auction sales for this edition. You can see it's pretty high compared to the offering price that we are giving. Now, Keith Haring is also within that line of artists that, particularly within this past year, has been outperforming, crypto, equities, real estate, gold, etc. And this print has amazing traction. If you're interested, you want to stay super up to date, you can sign up to receive notifications. But we'll be dropping all the details in the next day or two. That's all I had for today. I don't know, Boris, if you have any other closing remarks that you'd like to finish up with.
I think it's all very exciting. I think that all of this, we're obviously introducing lots of products, and we're introducing lots of assets, right? So product extensions and new assets that are launched. I've been talking about it for some time, so while it's exciting, it may not be new to this audience. What is new to this audience, I think, is the backdrop of the art market. The backdrop of the art market is that the art market is booming, and in particular in the contrast to other types or other segments of the financial market, this is certainly notable. So you can think of it like, the crypto had its upswing run, and now it's sort of going sideways or down, and I'm sure it's going to go back up. So this is the time we're in. The equities are flat, a little bit down, but the art RWAs, the art assets, are now outperforming them all, right? And so we are proving this in real time. It's a great place and time to get exposure to this growing market. Obviously, as always, do your own research. We give you lots of research tools, and you can find additional research tools on the internet to find out about the market, about the specific assets that you can get a stake in crypto. But overall, it's definitely a growth story, and it's exciting to be in this growing part of the market, especially now at this particular point in time, when other things are not particularly are not doing as well. So to me, it's inspiring to be bringing this product to the wider and wider audiences. And as we launch additional assets, you saw that the pipeline is quite strong at this point. You will see high and high volume of these assets coming on blockchain, and you'll be able to get exposure to a wider and wider swath of the art market through them.
Awesome. So with that, thank you everybody for joining. We will be sharing more updates. Follow us on X or join our Discord. And if you have any questions, please reach out. We'd love to connect with you, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds great.